All right, y'all. Welcome back to the Who's Right podcast. And, we got some news, we got some things to talk about. And, before we get started, I know we want to get right into it, but I just wanted to make sure you guys subscribe to this channel, like the video, give me a comment, let me know how you feel. And again, before we get started, Victor, how you doing?
Doing all right. I feel like I should be better, but because we have baseball happening literally in 4 days, 3 days when you guys will be listening to this, and I'm pumped for baseball to be back. But I'm gonna let you share your opinions and thoughts about everything that's been happening with the Mets for the past week, and then we can get to the exciting part of baseball actually being played by the Mets on a professional level this week.
Yeah, so this podcast has been hyping up Vientos and Beatty and wanting the kids to get a chance. And we got the news. We got the news that JD Martinez is joining the Mets. And you know what? There's at first I was like, ah, what are they doing? Giving this guy money, and then the contract details came out. And when the contract details came out, I kind of subsided, because they're giving him 4.5 million this year, and that is in line where Stearns wanted to spend. And he never lied to anybody. He said if he was gonna add somebody, it was gonna be at his price. And JD came down to his price, and came down pretty hard, right? Because a bat of JD's caliber to only get $12 million, and then defer most of it, and only get 4.5 this year to only cost us about 9 because of the CBT. I can't argue with that. You know, history says JD Martinez is a better hitter than Vientos. Vientos hasn't proven it yet. So I can't argue with, my biggest argument all year was his age, and at 4.5 million, his age doesn't matter because if he's not producing, we can cut him for 4.5 million. That's not a big deal. If he was getting 12, the full 12 or 20 or whatever, and they'd give him a longer leash. And but as you see, got the glasses on. I got egg in my face with the whole JD Martinez thing, and I just what can you do? JD Martinez is a better player than Vientos. History shows that, right? And so I feel bad for Vientos, especially JD Martinez coming and talking to him. I don't know about you. I mean, I can't speak from experience. You can speak from being an athlete. When somebody takes your spot, I don't know if I'm too cool with it at all. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna, wish him any ill will towards him, but I don't know if I want to hear from him. At
Yeah.
least not the next day. So, but I'm gonna let you get in there before I keep going.
Yeah, and I can speak to that on the collegiate level when I was wrestling. I was coming in as a freshman, kind of in the same sense as Vientos coming in as the young buck coming up, trying to make his spot in the lineup. Didn't quite make the cut, but I had the starter come up to me and is like, you'll get it next time. It's all right. We'll keep on working in the room. We'll be all right. To me, I hated hearing that. I don't want to hear that. I wanted to beat you. I wanted to beat you for the spot to compete. I don't want to be the backup to this guy, and I don't want to be wrestling with this guy for the spot that I felt like I deserved. I felt like I was the better guy, and that I could have proved that I was the better guy. And I feel like Vientos probably feels the same way. That's what bothers me about it. And I'll talk a little bit more about this in a little bit, but Vientos never even got a chance, man. He's never even gotten a chance. But for as far as JD goes, it's great that it's a win-win for both parties. The only person that's lost here is Scott Boris, in my opinion, because he didn't get his client the money that he deserved or wanted. Um, you know, uh, what's his name? JD Martinez is going to go to Texas, probably get all of that money tax free or out of no tax, no state income tax once he retires from baseball, and so he'll get more money in the long run than he would have gotten the full 12 staying in New York. Um, and the Mets got their guy for the right price. They're only paying $9 million total for with CBT included, and they get their protection for Pete, like everyone's been talking about. And what did JD say when he came on to talk about the signing? Pete was his biggest advocate. He wanted him, and when your superstar wants something, you go and get it. And it seems like not only Pete but Lindor, Nimmo, all the fans out there were advocating for this guy, and they finally got what they wanted. And at the end of the day, whatever's going to help the team win, I'm going to be fine with, because this is ultimately going to help the team win. If JD Martinez doesn't do, if Mark Vientos were to outperform JD Martinez this year, it doesn't matter because Pete felt better about it. He felt safer and more secure having JD Martinez batting behind him than he would have ever had Mark Vientos batting behind him. And that's what matters at the end of the day, because he's the one who's going to be producing all those runs. And so at the end of the day, I'm fine with it, but I'm not fine with how the Mets handled Mark Vientos. But your thoughts on that first?
Well, I mean, it's. I mean, there's nothing you could do, right? You know, Stearns hasn't lied to us. Like I just said earlier, he came down to our to the Mets price, and when the player comes down to your price and is willing to sign for the price that you want him for, you can't say no to that. I can't argue for or against it because JD signed for basically peanuts compared to a talent that JD is. You know what I'm saying? So I, yeah, Vientos was done wrong. To be honest with you, last year. Last year was when he was done wrong when he didn't get a chance. I was hoping he's gonna get that chance this year, but last year is when Buck and Epler kind of screwed Vientos over by not letting him play when Vogelback wasn't doing anything for us. And so, honestly, those are the two people that I hold accountable for Vientos not getting a shot. Right now, Vientos got to go down AAA and keep hitting, and maybe be trade piece, right? Maybe there's a team out there that wants him, right? Because at this point, the Mets are clearly saying they don't want him. So I feel bad for him. Last week, he's probably thinking, I'm home free. I'm down the stretch. I'm about to start game one, and boom, 1 week away from opening day, and you get the news about JD Martinez. And I mean, that's a blow. I don't care who you are. You've been through it as an athlete. It's a blow, and it's you come back better for it. Just like you did, but it's still a blow. It still pisses you off. He's got to continue. He said at the beginning of camp he plays with a chip on his shoulder. He's got to continue with that chip. You know what I mean? Let that chip get bigger and start hand dingers all over the place. And, you'll get your shot. But at the end of the day, for him, who really screwed him over was Showalter and Epler. Showalter, Epler for supposedly wanting Vogelback as the, trying to wanting Vogelback and telling Showalter to play him, and Showalter for not being 20-year managing vet. At the end of the day, he was just managing for his job. And I've told you this. We did it with Coughlin and with the Giants and stuff like that. Once you start managing to save your job, you got to go. So I'm glad that Showalter's gone as well. And so they really screwed Vientos over. So I can't hold it on Stearns. Stearns doesn't know Vientos. Stern didn't draft him. He doesn't know him. And how are you gonna say no to JD Martinez? You know?
Yeah, and that's I mean, I can't blame Stern. That's not his it's ultimately his call. Well, I can blame Stern, but I'll hold my thoughts on that for just a second. My first thought, and like you said, Bucks messed up a lot last year, to the point where everyone was doubting Brett Beatty, wanting him to lose his job at third base, and now we see that he's doing great at third base. Not so much defensively, but the bat's back. I mean, it seems like he's got his rhythm and his confidence back. That seemed to be destroyed after last year, and he's looks like he's coming back into the same Brett Beatty of old, or that we saw coming up into as he was building his way into the uh, up into the major leagues. But with Vientos, same thing applies to him. Like he probably got probably had his confidence shattered last year, not being able to um, uh, compete even for the job because Vogelback ended up not even beating him out, but getting chosen as the spot over Vientos. So I can agree with you that Buck kind of messed up last year because we saw him make a lot of bad decisions, and like you said, he probably shouldn't have stayed as long as he did. Um, but hindsight's 2020. That can only be so that can only we can only say so much about it. But my heart just breaks for Vientos, man. Seeing him after they signed him, he looked like he was trying to find the words, like he was trying to find like some good words to say to keep his rapport good with the team and with the media as well, because he wasn't happy about the signing, but he had to go and face the media and tell them it was what's best for the team. And ultimately, It is what's best for the team. But what bothers me about David Stearns, and this time around, is that he chose to keep DJ Stewart up instead of Mark Vientos. We already talked about this last time. We have so many options out in the outfield. Mark Vientos or DJ Stewart is literally just a standalone DH. He can play outfield, but who are we gonna put him in the outfield in place of Tyrone Taylor, um, Starling Marte? Harrison Bader, Brandon Nemo. Who are we gonna? He's our sixth outfielder at this point, and we don't need another outfielder. Mark Vientos at least added an element to the game where he could play first base. He could play third base as well. And you're gonna choose DJ Stewart over this guy and option him down to AAA. That makes no sense to me, because at least keep him up for the start of the season. JD Martinez said he's not going to be ready for 15 days. Let him get his major league at bats. Let him work on his stuff. After that Martinez signing, he went out and hit a home run and then a double the next day, and so he's hitting consistently against some major league pitchers and against some major league competition. But he again they sent him down to AAA. Now I don't know the reasoning. They know him better than we do, so there might be something that they saw that they want him to go back down to AAA to work on. I know his rate wasn't great, but that's what you get with the with the home run hitter, which Mark Vientos was projecting to be. But at the end of the day, you got to give the kid a chance at some point. One, because if you don't plan on keeping him, you have to give him some major league experience so that he's more tradable. He's more attractive to other teams, because if we keep on doing this with Mark Vientos, he's not going to develop. This is just going to hurt his development. He's proven that he's ready to play at the major league level, and if he doesn't play it with the Mets, he might be like, I don't think it's going to be to this extent, but like a Travis Darno, where we're like, man, we should have kept on working on letting him uh, letting him play. And I know that's a completely different situation, but it just seems like we're gonna end up regretting this in the future.
Well, I mean, there's plenty of guys that we can go down the list. Justin Turner, guys that did well after they left the Mets, and that's just happens. That's just baseball. But I think, to be honest with you, this is my theory, and this is what I'm thinking is that this is strategic. right? Because it doesn't make sense to send Vientos down if JD Martinez is not ready. Let him DH, right? And but I think this is strategic, right? Because if Vientos starts off with a hot bat and all of a sudden we take him out of the lineup and JD Martinez struggles after he comes up, Mets fans, what they're going to be saying. You know what I'm saying? And it's just that fickle. And I think this is strategic. They don't want Vientos to start off hot. Get those 10 days, 10, 15 days, whatever it is that's going to take for JD to get ready, to get hot, and because they don't want to hear it. They don't want to hear if JD Martinez, because the first thing, if JD comes up and struggles, the first thing that's going to come up is what we've been talking about, that he's lost it, right? That's the first thing that people are going to start talking about. And especially if Vientos was going to be hitting, if he starts off hitting a hot bat in the beginning of the season, that's the first thing that people are going to be talking about. Is JD done? Why did we send Vientos down? Right? That's how people are going to be talking. This is New York. That's how it happens. And so I think this was strategic, so that doesn't happen. So they don't hear the words from the fan base. Why did you send Vientos down when JD is no good anymore?
Yeah, but why even go through that trouble? Why even have to have the fans bicker in your ear for to let the kids play again? Like I know that the unless they love the stress that the fans put on them.
Oh no,
Um,
no, because you got to think about it. You got to think about it. Vientos is going to hit AAA hitting. He's already proven it. He's already done it. So you're not going to hear from the fan base about him lighting it up in AAA because he's already done that. Right now, according to the fan base, he's not JD Martinez. So that's the whole point. If Vientos would have started off hot in the beginning of the season and they send him down, bring JD up, and then JD struggles, that's when you're going to hear the talking. But if you send Vientos down right away, he didn't get to hit Major League hitting during the regular season because spring training doesn't count. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't count. In April, that's when it counts. And that's when people are going to be like, whoa, he actually can hit if he starts off hot. And that's when JD can't start struggling. You know what I mean? And that's why it's strategic now to send him down because he hasn't started in April. He hasn't started off hot. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, why not keep him on the roster though? That's my thing. Why not keep
Well,
him on the
because if you're not gonna play him, there's no sense of putting him on the roster. That's the point. If you're not gonna play him, there's no sense of putting him on the roster. And if you the only reason to keep Vientos on the roster is to play him at DH. And I'm telling you, they don't want to start that just in case JD doesn't start off hot.
I understand the sense of not wanting his bat to get cold, but this early in the season, when he's hitting hot, when he still has an opportunity to play, I get what you're saying. Uh, he still wants they don't want the fans to be big in their ears when they have to send Vientos down to bring JD Martinez up, but um, who cares? Who cares of what the fans say? This is New York. The fans are always going to be saying something or the other. They're always going to be in your ear. And why not just give the kid a few 5 days of major league at bats so that he can actually see and taste what it looks like. And then, I mean, at the end of the day, it was going to happen anyway. Right, like you said, send him down, give him that taste, give him that hunger again to come back up.
Because
And
it's not about Vientos right now. It's about JD Martinez. That's why. You're thinking that it's a fair shot. You're thinking that there's no politics involved. There's right now, because they signed JD Martinez, there's a little bit of politics. Yes, it might not last for very long if JD doesn't do well because it's 4.5 million, but there's still politics involved because they signed JD Martinez.
no, and that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that it doesn't matter what Mark Vientos does or cares about or what he does in the major leagues. They're
But
gonna
it
send him
does if
down anyway.
if he does well, it does. It does matter if he does well. That's the whole point. If he does well, it does matter.
You think that if he did well, that he would have stayed up instead of JD?
No, that's the point. They would have sent him down anyways. And if JD didn't struggled while we sent down a hot bat, then you would have heard the fan base. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, there's too much. There's too much. what ifs to be involved. So there's it's what's done is done. I'm not going to cry over spilled milk. Vientos will come up eventually. He'll force his way into the major leagues. I think he's good enough. I think he's got the support system down in the AAA to force his way up, and maybe he comes back better than he would have been if he would have started off um, in the majors. But you know, it's going to be interesting to see how things shape up with him this season, and because a lot of non-Mets fans think that JD is going to be trade bait at the end of the year, but that's we're not going that far, and to say that.
Not at all. Not at all. That's not even a thought in our mind. The only reason to get JD is to compete. And you're not signing JD to protect Pete just to trade him off at the middle of the season. That's just not gonna happen. Um, we're I'm not saying we're ultimate World Series contender, but we're not gonna be far out of the wild card to be even thinking about that at that time. If we are, things have gone horribly wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
there's no way around that.
No, and we look at our rotation. I mean, at our lineup, we have a solid lineup, one to five, 1 to 6 now. If everyone plays how they should be, and if everyone plays how they should, or how they can, then we have solid lineup from 1 to 8, 9, and so I think we'll be a playoff contender this year. And all the JD Martinez signing does is solidifies our lineup this year with putting without having to doubt who the cleanup hitter is going to be. We know it's going to be JD Martinez protecting Pete. That'll bat third, and 5 through 9 is just going to have to sort itself out. We kind of know what that's going to look like with McNeil and with Alvarez probably batting fifth and sixth. But we'll see. What do you think that lineup's going to look like now from 5 to 9? Because we already know what 1 through 4 is going to look like.
Well, unfortunately, we're gonna know what we know what 1 through 4 is. Unfortunately, they're gonna have Nimmo lead off. I still think that Lindor is the better leadoff hitter for today's baseball with the stolen bases, but they're not gonna do that. So Lindor is number 2, right? Nimmo, Lindor, Pete, Martinez, McNeil probably behind JD, and either Alvarez or Marte, either one, they're gonna switch around. And then the rest of the lineup, Beatty and so forth, and Bader. And don't forget Tyrone. Tyrone's gonna make some noise, I think, this year. He looked good today. So I think that's the lineup. To me, that's if JD's the guy, that's a pretty tough lineup. So I'm feeling good about it. But again, these late signings, I gotta say this because this is we gotta wait 15 days for JD Martinez to come up to the big ball club, right? You're gonna tell me that this signing this late doesn't hurt the team, doesn't hurt, the player because the player's not ready. You know what I mean? Because JD Martinez said it. He's been training, so he's in shape. He's been training, but he's not in game shape.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's why he needs 15 days, 15 games. He needs to get in game shape, get speed into it. So in with a hitter is different. With a pitcher, that's even longer, right?
Yeah.
Because hitters get ready quicker than pitchers do. So I don't understand, these late signings, because I think that hurts not only the team, but it hurts the player.
Yeah, this Boris game is going to get old really quick, and I think players are going to come onto it and start to hate it because they're not going to be able. They want. He talked about how meaningful it is to be on that opening day roster and to be able to play opening day. How much emotion is involved in that, and he wants to be a part of that, but he hasn't seen a 100-mile fastball since October. And so he's got to get those major league at bats, be able to see some pitches at the major league level, and then he might be able to come back. And so I think that Boris kind of mentality of signing late is going to come back and bite him in the butt eventually. And I sure hope that it's not the same way with Soto or Pete next year, because those are both guys that we desperately want to see on our opening day lineup. But last thing I'll say on a Boris client is that now that we signed JD Martinez, there's no reason for us to not go sign Jordan Montgomery. So I mean, like you said, it's going to take a while for him to be able to ramp up. So we probably won't see him until June or something. No, probably not that long, like May or something like that. But you want to you told the Mets fans that you want to be competitive this year, and you wanted to solidify our lineup. Go solidify our rotation too, because Adrian Hauser is not going to cut it, and Tyler McGill could cut it, but we built up this rotation with a whole bunch of scrap dogs that can eventually get the win, but you want to solidify our rotation and make Mets fans even more happy, thinking that we're going to compete. Go sign Jordan Montgomery for me.
Well, I mean, you have it out for Hauser, but Hauser's not going to be the first guy off the block. It's going to be McGill. So if you think McGill don't got it, then you go sign a Montgomery, because that's going to be the guy that's going to be chopped off. And so, but at the end of the day, we'll see. Montgomery supposedly has a market of a couple teams, Yankees, Red Sox, whatever. The same old, same old. But I'm not worried about it right now, because to be honest with you, Sevy looked good. Mania looks good. And Mania and Montgomery are very comparable if they're pitching at the same caliber. I'm not worried about the rotation right now, because Mania can compete with what Montgomery can give you. And then Sevy's looking good, and I'm hoping that he keeps it going, stays healthy, and keeps it going all year long, because he's a solid number two guy with two-time All-Star. So he's got all the potential in the world to bring it back. So I'm okay with the rotation. I'm not worried about Montgomery. I just want to get Senga back.
Yeah, listen. At the end of the day, we have we have a solid rotation that will win us some games this year. Do we have an elite rotation? No. Will Montgomery make us an elite rotation? No. And so, like you said, it's not going to hurt or help anything. It's just going to make us look more flashy. It's going to put up more big names in our rotation, because, like you said, if Mania and Sevy are up to speed with where they should be, then they're solid, and that 1-2-3 is going to be really good come playoff time when we're in the hunt for the playoffs. And there's no slack. It's going to sound like I'm a Quintana hater, but and I'm not, because I love that he's pitching opening day, and makes sense because he's the longest tenured Met in our rotation. But he really realistically should be pitching last in our rotation. And that's no hate to him, because he's got some solid stuff, but in a good rotation, he's probably pitching last. He's probably pitching 4 or 5, and one way to get someone up there is to sign someone like a Jordan Montgomery. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but that's just my opinion. And so I'd love to see it, but it is what it is. We're going into this season strong, and I'm confident in what we're putting out there.
You didn't sound too confident. So
like I said, 1 through 3, we're good. 1 through 3 in our rotation, we're good. It's just 4 and 5 is where I start to get concerned with our rotation. And if we're able to put a Quintana down at 5, I'm real confident at that point. But like I said, I'm picking scabs at this point.
Man. Who's Arizona's 4 and 5? Who was Texas's 4 and 5? All right, that's not. I'm not worried about 4 and 5. You know, this. I'm fine with this rotation. Obviously, again, I don't want egg my face again. So if they get Montgomery, I'm gonna be happy they get Montgomery. Because beginning of the season, beginning of the off season, that I was actually the one saying we got to go get Monty, right? So if they get Monty, I'm gonna be happy about it because I do like Monty. I just don't think that they're going to do it. Obviously, if he comes down to our price, Stearns has proven that he's going to sign the player if he comes down to the price, right? What I love that's going on is that, yeah, we might overpay for some guys because we want to, not because we have to. You know what I'm saying? So we're at the point that we got a guy that's very smart, and he's going to. This is making me trust Stearns even more. This whole Martinez deal, because he didn't overprice. If it was Epler, we might have signed him for 3 years, 20 million, right? I mean, 20 million each. So that might have been a Epler signing back in December for JD Martinez. No, Stearns waited. He waited. He waited. 12 million, 4.5 this year. Everything else deferred, right? So that's where we want it to be as far as a price range. And obviously we could still add some more, but again, at Stern's price. And I like that. You don't outbid against yourself. How many times have we, as Giants fans, we outbid against ourselves with Daniel Jones, right? And so
Yeah,
nobody was bidding against us. Nobody wanted Daniel Jones, but we gave him how many million, and he's kind of strapped our salary cap, right?
yeah,
So I like that we got a smart guy at the top. Cohen's letting him cook. He's letting him do his thing, and Cohen is backing him 100%. And when he says we're ready to pull the trigger, Cohen says let's do it. You know what I mean? Because he trusts him. So, but enough of the team of JD Martinez, because we can talk all day about JD Martinez and what's going on. But the signing of JD Martinez kind of solidified our kind of debate. G-Man Choi, DJ Stewart, even though he's up, he's going to be sent down once JD Martinez is ready. But Zach Short, we were wondering who was going to be the guy that's going to be left out. Was it going to be Zach Short or Vientos before the JD Martinez signing, right? But the JD Martinez signing kind of solidified that it was going to be Zach Short that makes the team, right? Because right now you don't need a platoon at DH, right? You don't need to worry about anybody else at DH. So G-Man Choi down to Syracuse, DJ Stewart down to Syracuse, Mark Vientos down to Syracuse, right? And, obviously DJ Stewart is not yet at Syracuse, but um, once JD's ready, he's going to be in Syracuse. So, it's kind of. I mean, they announced it today. There's nobody else. Zach Short made the bench. Condolences to him and his family about his grandma. But I'm glad he made the team. And this kind of goes again to what Stearns is valuing. He's valuing defense. He's basically saying, if they're going to sub in, we're subbing in because of defense. We're not we don't expect a lot of pinch hitters in our games.
yeah. No, and I love Zach Short. Getting to watch him play all spring, he looks phenomenal out there. Being able to play every position on the field, or I don't think he plays first base, but able to play second, short, and third base adds real value to the Mets that they're going to need down the line because, as we know, injuries are a thing. Knock on wood with the Mets, and he provides that security for us to be able to know that we have someone out there that can play great defense. But not only that, he's proven that he's done well with the bat. He's been great. He's shown out. But I don't know if I don't know if he's been proven at the major league level. I haven't followed his career at all. But I think he's going to get a shot this year to get some major league at bats, and it'll be cool to see how he does outside of spring training. Because you know, he might get some at bats early on with JD Martinez being out for a little bit. Uh, but we'll see.
Yeah. He's been a utility player. I think it was with either Detroit or Minnesota. I don't remember which one, but it's one of those two clubs that he was with last year. So he's a utility guy. But I kind of echo the same thing you said. You know, a major utility guy. I think he could play some corner outfield as well. So and that's, I mean, I think Tyrone Taylor is the first man off the bench, regardless of how you slice it. If Bader doesn't do well, actually, he might take Bader's job before too long. Because we know Bader's a great defender, but his bat is always questionable. So if he's struggling mightily, you might see Tyrone Taylor sooner than later starting for him and doing something. And he's a good defender as well. So
Yeah,
um,
I might prefer to see that too, because Tyrone Taylor has been hot lately. He's had a nice bat, and he's been able to field the ball well too. And so, if Harrison Bader, I know we gave him $10 million, but if he's not doing great to start the season, I don't want to see the politics game like we talked about earlier, because this is someone that David Stearns knew back in Milwaukee, and so I think I don't know if how much that will come into factor of how much Bader's getting paid, but if he's not doing well, bench him. You know, I'm tired of seeing the Mets stick with their guns with the guys that they paid. I want to see them put a guy that's been going to actually benefit the team.
well, and I think him Tyrone Taylor being in Milwaukee with Stearns is a leg up on him getting a quicker chance than most in this scenario, because even though Bader got the 10 million, Stearns has a relationship with Tyrone Taylor, right? So that goes a long way too. So I do believe that if Bader uh, doesn't start off hot, you might see a lot of Tyrone Taylor. Um, so um, so yeah. But that's the bench. Right now, the bullpen, they're talking about Sean Reed Foley, Yohan Ramirez, and who's the third guy? I'm drawing a blank on the third guy. Um,
Yeah, you said it to me earlier, and I can't even remember, but it's really cool to see how David Stearns was able to play Moneyball this year with the bullpen, because the bullpen that we're putting out there this year might be the most underrated bullpen that's in the league right now. A lot of these guys that are getting second chances with the Jorge Lopez, and I think Fujinami will be up eventually. He's just down trying to locate his stuff right now,
yeah.
but he'll be up before we know it, because he's got electric stuff, throwing over 100 miles an hour. But you know, I, just the way that the bullpen has been able to compete this year has been really cool, because uh, it looks like it's very competitive, and it's not a competitive on the side of like who's doing worse, who should we send down. It's who's pitching the best right now, and we've got some major league bullpen pieces to put out there this season. And who you just talked about, Sean Reed Foley.
So the three guys are so obviously we designated for assignment Bickford to make room for JD Martinez. So that was one of the guys that earlier on they were talking about, and but he didn't really do much this spring. Austin Adams got traded to Oakland for cash. So another guy off, and so the three guys competing for two spots is Sean Reed Foley, John Ramirez, and Michael Tompkin. And yeah, I don't know why, because I forgot about Michael Tompkin. But interesting thing, since it is so close, right? Like you were just talking about, since it is so close, Sean Reed Foley might have gotten hit a little bit today because he didn't even make it out of an inning. Gave up 2 runs and didn't make it out of an inning. So, Sean Reed Foley might be the odd man out of those two guys.
Which is a
After
real
today.
bummer too, because I think he grew up a Mets fan, diehard Mets fan that was trying to make the team. Is that guy?
No, that's Zach Short. That's Zach Short.
No, there was a pitcher out there. I can't remember if it was him or not, um, but even Zach Short, that's awesome that he's getting the shot. I know he was emotional hearing that news as well. But with those guys that you just talked about, um, where those are going to be our kind of like transitional pieces that are coming on early on. They're not going to be late important pieces, and so we saw this last year where we were putting up nobodies out there to be able to get through innings sometimes. And so knowing that Sean Reed Foley, Honor Ramirez, and Michael Tonkin are competing for a spot like that, it gives me some peace because those aren't going to be high leverage situations that they're going to be put in.
Yeah, so those are the guys that, and I do think that Sean Reed Foley after today is the odd man out. They got one more game tomorrow before they got to make the decision on Tuesday, and I'm assuming that both Ramirez and Tompkin will pitch tomorrow. But if they look good tomorrow, I think that Sean Reed Foley's the guy, the odd man out. He's been with the team a long time, and but what can you do? Hopefully he stays with the team. But I think that's the odd man out.
Yeah, and it is what it is. He'll go develop some stuff. This is why David Stearns went and picked up so many bullpen pitchers with the minor league option, so that they can go work on their stuff. This isn't just a throwaway guy that we're going to see again, because the guy's still 28. He's still got some time to work on some stuff and maybe to come up as a major league pitcher. But he gets to actually work on his stuff now down in the minor leagues. I love that David Stearns did that, was intentional about putting a minor league contract on these guys so that they're not just we're not relying on them to be good in the major leagues, that they can go down eventually and then come up when someone else isn't as great.
Well, with these three guys, they'd be cut, so they'd be designated for assignment. So any of these guys are going to be designated for assignment. So these guys, if we do cut them, any of these guys, we have the potential of losing. But it's the name of the game, right?
Yeah, it is what it is. Like we said, these aren't impact players, so we'll survive without these guys if they get picked up.
Yeah. So I think, JD Martinez took a lot of our time, guys. I want you to comment on and let us know what you think about the whole JD Martinez. Obviously, most of you guys are going to disagree with us, because we were clamoring for the young guys to get a shot. But let us know what you think. We're going to be back on Thursday right after opening day, because our show is going to have a different format. We're going to change some things around just for the season. So we'll let you guys know what we're doing on Thursday, and break down the first game of the season, right? But before we get out of here, guys, Victor, any last words?
No, yeah, I'm so excited to watch the baseball this year. This is more excited than I was last year, to be honest. And some may say we had a better team last year, but in my eyes, this is a more exciting team, a more dynamic team, a more complete team that we're going to put out there this year. And I can't wait for opening day on Thursday.
Yeah. No, I'm excited too. And don't get me wrong, guys. I'm excited about JD Martinez too, because I do think that lengthens our lineup, and so I'm really excited for this year because JD Martinez or Vogelback. Is there a choice there?
No.
So, but guys, like, subscribe, and let us know what you think. And on Thursday we'll break it down for you. So until Thursday, let's go Mets.
Let's go Mets.